So headed into this upcoming season, a big name to watch out for was Daron Payne because after the departure and release of Jonathan Allen, a lot of people felt like Daron Payne could be next had he not produced this upcoming year. With Daron Payne being on the bubble in most fans' eyes, he has taken this season very personal. As in off-season team activities, OTAs, he has been dominating them and leaving Coach Dan Quinn impressed. Let's talk about it.
The way that we live is not for everybody.
Nah, that ain't it, y'all.
How do you think the rest of Jaden Daniels' career is going to go? If we're, 6, 7 games into Jaden Daniels' career and he's already milking injuries, like...
Stop saying my name, you dick riding bastard. I love the way she move it, shake it on me. When she cry for him, and Shawty is the winner. You can tell that Shawty's low beginner, she's confident.
YouTube, what's going on? It's Juan Gotti here. We have the Washington Commanders video, and in today's video, I'm coming on here with the video where we're going to be talking about OTAs, Daron Payne, and a slew of other topics. So without further ado, let's get straight into today's video. But before we do, make sure you guys go down below, leave a like on this video, subscribe to the channel if you are new, turn on post notifications so you get notified when I upload new videos like this to the channel. We're on the road to 10,000 subscribers, so we greatly appreciate if you haven't reached that goal as soon as possible. Thank you so much. Let's get straight into today's video. So first things first, y'all know I gotta start it off like this. Noah Brown and Jaden Daniels had the play of the day as they connected with the back of the end zone for a touchdown. And y'all know I gotta gloat for a second because I love Noah Brown, bro. I genuinely feel like he is very disrespected by this fan base. I love y'all, you know what I'm saying? But a lot of people are sleeping on Noah Brown. Like, they like, man, Juan, get out of here with that. And I'm telling y'all, bro, Noah Brown is not only going to make this roster, but he's going to contribute in a major way. When healthy, he was Jaden Daniels' really second option for the early part of the season. You can even say first option because early parts of the season, we know Cliff wasn't really motioning his guys. He was keeping Terry McLaurin on the left side and had the wide receiver too, who was Noah Brown at the time, on the right side. And what hand does Jaden Daniels throw with the right? So he's more comfortable throwing to that side of the ball. So there were games and times where Noah Brown was getting more targeting opportunities than Terry McLaurin. Should it be like that? Never. But that's what it was, and he was taking full advantage of him for the most part. And he ended up getting hurt, which in my opinion definitely slowed down the offense a little bit. But I think Noah Brown is very good and reliable. Am I saying he's wide receiver 2 worthy? No. Am I saying he's going to go out for 1,000 yards? No. But I'm saying he is a guy that you would want on your roster and in your team to contribute. So that's why I'm glad that their rapport is there, and they had the play of the day because he's somebody that I look at and say, yes, he's gonna be a big contributor to this offense. Jacquoy Brooks, a lot of people are hyped on him and happy about him and think he can make this roster in the wide receiver room. He had a connection with Jaden Daniels as well, and that kind of left Deebo Samuel, a little shocked. And I love to see Deebo Samuel out there getting after it, getting active, having fun, balling out. Another guy that was very impressive was Nate Herbig today. I know he was a guy that was brought in for depth purposes, but per Lionel Willingham, a guy that's very, very known in the community for media, he said, don't be surprised if it's Brandon Coleman and Nate Herbig, your 2 guards to start the season. And that was very interesting. As we know, Sam Cosmi is going to be on injury reserve, more likely than not, to start the year. Or not injury reserve, but he's not going to be ready, I should say, to start the season. So we're going to have to figure out who your guards are going to be. And we immediately just pointed to Andrew Wiley, right? Andrew Wiley being your right guard and maybe Brandon Coleman your left guard. But he's like, nah, bro, like Nate Herbig truly could be your starting guard, and Andrew Wiley could go to the bench. And I know that may not be surprising for a lot of people, given the fact that Andrew Wiley, he's had his moments where he did not look the best. But I look at it as a positive, Rob, because even if Nate Herbig is your starter, you got Andrew freaking Wiley coming off a bench, a savvy Super Bowl champion vet that can fill in both right tackle, right guard, and I'm sure he can even play the left guard as well. You start Brandon Coleman, you still got Nick Algridy. You still potentially got Chris Paul if he makes his roster. Now, he's not a guarantee to make this roster, but needless to say, wherever they mix and match, wherever they decide to go with the starters for the guard position, you got great depth. And I don't remember the last time that I could genuinely say along the offensive line, Washington's had great depth at almost every position that you feel comfortable with. So if injuries happen, if players aren't playing up to standards, you won't lose, much of anything. And it feels good to say that, because when you have obviously a guy of the Jaden Daniels caliber, a guy that you think is going to be an MVP candidate and be the franchise for the next 10, 15 years, you need him upright. So knowing that you can have different combinations and whatnot that can go out there and perform, it definitely feels great. So that's really that stood out for me for the offensive side of the ball. And on the defensive side of the ball, Dan Quinn, he went out his way at his press conference to talk about how Daron Payne has severely impressed him this offseason. And if we're being honest, Daron Payne simply has the biggest, if I could say, crosshairs, target on his back. If it's not Deebo Samuel, for the simple fact that a lot of people are down on Deebo Samuel, non-Washington fans that are, if it's not Deebo Samuel, it's probably this guy right here, without a doubt, because since getting paid, since having that 11.5 sack season, Daron Payne truly has not amounted to what the contract says. If we're being completely honest about it, he has not lived up to expectations since signing that contract and getting that contract extension. So given the fact that we did release Jonathan Allen this past offseason, a lot of people feel as though, okay, Daron Payne, this is your time to step up. This is your time to show us why you shouldn't be next. Because quite frankly, Washington can get out of his contract after this year if he does not live up to expectation. And given the fact that you did bring in Javon Kinlaw, you did have a second-year guy in Johnny Newton, you did bring in Dietrich Wise, there are opportunities and options that you could go with past this season if Daron Payne does not go, pan out. So this is a huge, and I mean absolute huge year for Daron Payne. If there's one player that I think needs to have the biggest season, like literally ever, it's him. Because if he does not pan out this year, I could definitely see him falling in and following in the steps of his Alabama teammate in Daron Payne, or in Jonathan Allen. And another thing I also wanted to bring up was Joe Witt Jr. Man, I love Joe Witt Jr. I mean, I love listening to all of our coaches, but Joe Witt Jr., man, he definitely is up there for sure. When a great listen, because he's not gonna BS you, right? Cliff, he can dance around a question, he can dodge a question, he cannot want to answer. No, Joe Witt's gonna answer the question and give you the real. If they play like trash, he's gonna let you know that. If it's things that they need to do better, he's gonna let you know that. And one thing he said, which should not be a surprise to anybody, and I mean anybody, he said Trey Amos, cornerback out of second round pick out of Ole Miss, he said he's ahead of the curve. And I told y'all, like, he was my favorite pick out of this whole entire draft. And then you look at my film breakdown I just did on him, man, it does not surprise me one bit that Joe Witt Jr. says he's ahead of the curve, because this guy has it all. I am telling you, when you think of the prototypical cornerback in this day and age, Trey Amos comes to mind. Size, speed, athletic ability, having the IQ and smarts, being able to be physical at the line of the scrimmage, battling back in the play. This guy has it all. Not afraid to come down and hit, is a ball hunter. Not afraid to come down and force fumbles. That's something that we need. He has it all. When it comes to your prototypical NFC East cornerback, he is what you need, because you're going up against the CeeDee Lambs, the George Pickens, the Malik Neighbors, the A.J. Browns, the Devonta Smiths. Like, you need a shutdown cornerback that can go mano-a-mano with a guy of that caliber. And I know I might be setting the expectation quite high for Trey Amos, but I fully expect him to come in and have a Mikey Sandersteele-esque season where it's not going to take him long to catch on. Of course, he's a rookie, so will he have his woes here and there? Yeah, but I think for the most part, Trey Amos is going to come in and immediately be a freaking dog. So it does not surprise me one bit that Joe Witt Jr. is saying he is ahead of the curve. Something that is very interesting to me as well, and kind of have our answer to the edge rushing vacancy in a sense, because although there are players there, Jacob Martin, Dietrich Wise, Javon Kinlaw, that you can use on edge with Javonte Jean-Baptiste, right? You have players that are in position, you know, Cleveland Furrow and Dorrance Armstrong. Like, you have guys there. But do you really have a guy that can go ahead and get you Dante Fowler numbers? Now, I'm just using Dante Fowler as an example because he was the last notable guy to get double-digit sacks, which was last season. Now, was it an anomaly? Probably so, because he doesn't have back-to-back seasons in which he's doing double-digit sacks on a consistent basis. So, not telling what he'll do in Dallas. However, the point is, we don't have a guy on that roster at this moment, or do we? Frankie Louisville has been getting a large, and I mean large, amount of opportunities at edge rusher. We know Frankie Louisville's been a stand-up backer, and that isn't going anywhere. He's still going to do that. But when I tell you guys that I've been saying this all along, when they did not go out and address to get Trey Hendrickson at the time, when they didn't really draft an edge rusher early on how we thought they would, I said, you know what? They believe in Jacob Martin. They love what they did in the free agent class. They like what they already had on the roster in Dorrance Armstrong, Javonte Jean-Baptiste, and Cleveland Furrow, and Frankie Louisville. They're just going to roll with what they have. And they may not have a specific guy that can give them double-digit sacks. However, they have a guy and scheme that they feel if they rush together, rush and the plan, and follow the scheme, they can find a way to get sacks. That's simply what it is. And I think with Frankie Louisville getting a large amount of snaps at edge rusher and working with Ryan Kerrigan after practice, before practice, that is who they're going to lean on a lot to go ahead and get the pressure that was going to be needed to get after the quarterback this season. Don't sleep on Payne either, who I did a film breakdown on earlier today and said he could be used as a pass rusher as well. Well, Joe Witt Jr. said they're trying to figure out if Payne is more of a Frankie or more of a Jeremy, which I believe he was referring to in Jeremy Reeves. So we could see Payne being the new Dominique Hampton, being the new Buffalo nickel, playing some safety and also playing some backer, which isn't surprising because, again, this guy's a former wide receiver. So him being a chess piece, him being able to play all over the defense is not surprising to me at all. But those are some of the things that stood out to me from Ashburn, from OTAs today. Let me know what you guys think about this down below in the comment section. Daron Payne is leaving the coaching staff very impressed, and I mean very impressed, and he's going to need to have a big season. But leave your comments and thoughts down below. As always, me and boy Juan Gotti. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe to the channel. We're on the road to 10,000 subscribers, so we greatly appreciate if you can reach that goal as soon as possible. Thank you so much. Y'all have a blessed one. Stay safe. Be easy out there. Peace.
Never gave a damn. Ballin' like I'm Deshaun, throw the bomb, G. That's IG, my jersey never seen a line.